Overlord finished its fourth season and released Overlord, The Sacred Kingdom, but Season 5 has still not been officially announced. And the most interesting part is that there is no shortage of material to continue the story. So the question is simple. Why doesn't Overlord have Season 5 yet? At first glance, this seems strange. Overlord is one of the biggest successes in the isekai genre. The story of Ainz Gaon and Nazarick remains extremely popular, and the light novel written by Kage Maruyama has progressed far beyond the events adapted in the anime. In other words, the problem is not a lack of content. But this starts to make sense when we look at what happened recently. The first clue is Overlord, The Sacred Kingdom. What happened? Instead of announcing Season 5 immediately, the studio chose to adapt Volumes 12 and 13 of the light novel as a movie. Why is this important? Because these volumes cover one of the most beloved arcs in the series, involving the Roble Holy Kingdom and the war against Jaldabaoth. As a result, the studio prioritized adapting this arc before moving on to a new season, and that already explains part of the delay. But there is another important detail. Season 4 adapted Volumes 10, 11, and 14, while the movie covered Volumes 12 and 13. This means that after the film, the anime timeline is now fully aligned with the original order of the light novel. What happened? All of the material needed to continue the story is now organized and ready to be adapted. Why is this important? Because the next season can begin directly with Volume 15, without having to rearrange any events. As a result, from a narrative standpoint, Overlord is ready to continue immediately. But that still does not guarantee an instant announcement. There is another factor that plays a major role in productions like this: the schedule of Madhouse. What happened? Even when a franchise is extremely popular, production depends on scheduling, staff availability, budget, and business strategy. Why is this important? Because the success of a series does not guarantee an immediate continuation. As a result, it is common for several years to pass between seasons, even for highly successful anime. And Overlord has already shown this in the past. Fans had to wait significant periods between previous seasons as well. That means the current silence is not necessarily a negative sign. But there is another point that makes the wait even more intriguing: the content that comes next. Starting with Volume 15, the story takes Ainz and his subordinates to the elf country. What happened? Ora Bellafiora and Mare Bellofori receive much more focus, while Ainz explores new territories and becomes involved in conflicts surrounding the Elf King. Why is this important? Because this arc develops two fan-favorite characters and expands the world of the series even further. As a result, there is highly compelling material available for a new season, and that makes the lack of an announcement even more interesting. But here is the most likely explanation. The production may simply be waiting for the ideal moment to maximize commercial impact. What happened? After the release of the movie, the franchise gained renewed visibility and reignited fan interest. Why is this important? Because announcing Season 5 at the right time could generate even more anticipation and audience engagement. As a result, the delay may be strategic rather than a sign of cancellation, and that changes everything. So far, all signs suggest that Overlord has enough source material, a strong and loyal fan base, a highly anticipated upcoming arc, and significant commercial potential. Basically, every ingredient for a fifth season is already in place. The only thing still missing is the official announcement. And let's be honest, Ainz has conquered entire kingdoms. Waiting a little longer to conquer another season seems perfectly in character. In the end, the real mystery is not whether Overlord will get a Season 5. The only question is when it will finally be announced. And considering everything that has happened, the chances remain extremely high. Now tell me, do you believe Season 5 will be announced soon? Or do you think fans will have to wait a little longer? Subscribe to the channel, because there's still many hidden details in Overlord that completely change the way we view the story.